Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about P3D version 6. They're really taking an interesting jump here, so stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come along down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below, and thank you to all of my current subscribers. All right, you guys, so we're going to see the intro play or the trailer play probably a couple times here, but I really want to talk to you guys about some of the things that they're doing with this that I found to be kind of interesting. And we're going to be talking about pricing. We're going to be talking about some new features, it looks like, some development, and some things that I think are still missing very much in order to compete with Microsoft Flight Simulator. And we're going to talk about some of those comparisons as we get going through here. Now, the trailer is only about 1.5 minutes long, you guys, so feel free to just blow right through it, and I'll have a link to it down in the description below if you want to watch it in its full glory. But we're going to go through, we're going to pause a few points here and then talk about things that I'm noticing here right out of the gate, and then debate whether or not it can even keep up with Microsoft Flight Simulator. They've done some very interesting things here, and at the same token, they're doing some things that I just don't know if it's got enough, at least for the general consumer, but let's find out. All right, so coming back into it, let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. All right, so starting out with the atmosphere, right? The clouds look pretty good. I like the detail of the clouds actually here in many ways. Not all, but certain clouds, certain textures, certain lightings that they've done here better than Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I think it really depends on, don't mistake that, guys, for the graphic quality. And we're going to talk about graphics in a minute. I'm talking about the overall design, the way that the clouds are layered, the breaks in the clouds, the overall variance in how the clouds are, right? That's what I'm referring to, not graphics. Do not mistake look better for graphics. I don't think any part of this, graphically speaking, looks better than Microsoft Flight Simulator as far as the graphics quality, resolution, fidelity, right? Nothing's going to top Microsoft Flight Simulator. X-Plane can't, P3D can't. It ain't going to happen, right? Even DCS, depending on what we're talking about, struggles to keep up, right? So bear with me. I'm just talking about the details, the layers that are put into it. Like, I really like the breaks in the clouds here. Let me get my mouse here. So, like, I really enjoy the breaks here, and then sort of the different layers they've done here. The texturing up at the top with the little light, almost like a canyon that they've done here. And I don't know if that's going to be live weather and how that generation is going to take place inside the sim as far as live weather. But let's keep watching here. Oh, sorry, guys, because they've done some very interesting stuff here. I really like how smooth this is running. But, like, okay, coming back to this for a second, speaking to graphics for a minute, like this, the graphics quality, the fidelity, resolution, can't keep up, in my opinion. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm a P3D owner. Now, lighting, this is where they're coming around. The reflections, the sun rays, the God rays, if you will, that you guys are going to see here, like here, that looks very good. The lighting looks really nice. I really like what they've done here. The reflections is really, really well done here. The overall sun blare itself and the, what's the word I'm looking for? The intensity as you get closer to the sun without having just this big bright spot, but you can actually see the lighting coming all the way through the sun to that center point like we would see in real world. But when you look at some of the surrounding environment, I don't know. Highly detailed airports. This one, I don't know how I feel about that. What are they referring to? Now, first off, I wish they would expand on this because this is always going to be one of those kickers, you know. Is it all airports? Are they making sure that all airports are mapped? And when they say highly detailed, are we referring to all your taxi signs, your stop gates, your lights? Is that what they're referring to by highly detailed? Or again, are they referring to that high resolution, high quality graphics of an airport? Because I don't see that part. Now, P3D has always been known as a great study platform. Now, when we're looking at the terminals and things here, I still see a lot of that old P3D version 4, version 3 texturing here. And I could be mistaken. Maybe it's just the trailer. The trailer's probably not giving us everything that we need here. But again, like I'm not crazy about this water effect. So I'm not sure what they're going in sprawling cities. I don't know what that means. And what I mean by what I don't know what that means, where does that, what's the limitation in detail? Are they doing, are they implementing their own version of satellite photogrammetry? Are they doing something where the cities are going to be highly detailed, where third-party city developers are no longer needed, or that mesh that we all used to have to spend gigs and gigs and gigs of space, have 2 or 3 spare hard drives just to put in our terrain data? Or is this something that's going to be already there? So I don't know what that means. Are the buildings accurate? I mean, that looks like Chicago, I think, is what we were just looking at there. I could be mistaken. Now, the reactive environment. This is interesting. So obviously not necessarily new. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator, you land, we get some water spray, things like that. What I'm more interested on the reactive environment is bumps and sound and things like that. Is that telemetry going to be delivered to like motion simulators, right? Because like one of the things that I've noticed, like with my motion sim, as some of you may or may not know, I have a DOF Reality H3, and a lot of the telemetry for Microsoft Flight Simulator, like the bumping that you should get when you're taxiing and stuff like that, I don't really get. So I'm kind of curious if that's going to be something that's addressed here, because that's what they're sort of showing here. If you look at the wheel when it's rolling, it kind of looks like it's tapping. This one, I don't know how I feel about this part. So I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I played P3D. I think the last time that I used P3D was probably very early version 4. I do think that I had it installed. But I don't recall having any kind of weaponry, so I don't know how long this has been around. So if this is something new, are we bridging the gap between DCS World and Microsoft Flight Simulator, or Flight Simulation, I should say? I mean, that's essentially what they're doing here. And check this part out. For those of you in DCS World who are familiar with the, look at this, surface-to-air weapon systems. That launch, for me, did not look particularly great. But scenario creator, right? So you have a mission editor essentially now inside of P3D. Now, P3D, in many ways, I know as far as setting up your flight and setting up your environments, has always been a little bit more advanced. And that's because it has a professional aspect, right? And that's the other catch to this, right? Whenever you look at P3D, you can't really just compare it to Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane, because it also has a commercial use. And I would say, honestly, that's probably its primary use. That's why in the older versions, and we're going to talk about the licensing here in a minute, but you had your academic license, or you had your professional license, and then you had the commercial license, was like $3,000, something like that. And we're going to talk about how that licensing has changed. But if you wanted to buy P3D in the past, you basically had to be a student, right? And I know plenty of people weren't students that purchased P3D, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I don't know how I feel about this, the whole military combat emulation here. And it's just because, like, I don't know. So if you had a full satellite, I guess it doesn't have to be photo satellite, right? I guess there's some perks to the idea of being able to go anywhere in the world in a military aspect and military environment. But I feel like if you're going to go this route, DCS World, and this is just my opinion. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. And we're going to talk about that because I think I'm going to. I think I'm at least going to pick it up and see what happens when it releases, because this is interesting. But I really want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the military aspect of P3D? Because this is, sounds like they're pushing pretty hard for it. But when they're adding all of this, they're talking about realistic weapon systems and realistic training environments, and multiplayer, and general aviation, and commercial aviation, and realistic air. What I'm concerned about seeing all this is everything just sort of going to be so-so? Or are we going to have some very high fidelity areas focusing more on like commercial and general aviation? And is the military just going to be sort of, here, go have fun with this, right? You guys see that? Cheetos, hot Cheetos. Anyway, that's always what scares me about this kind of package. Is we know what P3D was built on. We know what its history is. Now we've got all this, what is being portrayed as highly detailed combat simulation, right? On top of the commercial and general aviation as previously discussed. And anytime that I've seen an environment like that, I've seen someone try to pull that off, there's always something missing. There's always something lacking, right? And then where you end up, like I said, you end up going back to something like DCS World. Like I can't see I can't see any of this competing with DCS. I just can't. So the military aspect, I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. So, all right. So there's the trailer. Should be looking at July. Let's look at a couple other things here. So coming over to the pricing, this is from Pr3pared's website right here. Check this part out. Beginning with P3D version 6, the academic license will be replaced with a personal license. What I cannot find clarification on is, what if you already own an academic license? Does that just roll over into the personal, or do we have to buy it again? I can't find clarification on that. If you guys know a place to find clarification on that, I really appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, see, like here's the personal license, $60. And even then, I don't think that'd be a deal breaker. If I have to purchase it again, I probably will. But check this out. So use at home or the K through 12 academic classroom. So you used to, again, this is what I was talking about. You used to have to be student in order to purchase this through the personal license. And then you have the professional, $350. And then there's a professional plus, which basically commercial license, essentially is what that would be. This is the other catch. This is the other part that I want to talk about. So for the personal license, requires internet connectivity during use, which means you will not be able to use it offline. If you lose internet, you can't fly P3D. So I'm kind of curious what that's about. I mean, now DCS. Well, I guess I'll back up. DCS used to be like that too. And then, you have servers go down, you have things come down for maintenance. They had some licensing, or not licensing, the licensing server had some issues for a while there. And so what they did is they gave you a 48-hour, every time you log in, it would update a 48-hour token. So if you were offline, okay, if I lost internet right now, but I wanted to fly DCS, I could still do so because I had 48 hours. That token would know, here's the last time it logged in, that token was updated. Now that I'm offline, I know that I've got a 48-hour clock. And then once that 48 hours expires, then yeah, you can't play if you still don't have internet. So I wish they would just do something like that. And the only reason why I say it is people do lose internet, right? Crap happens, storms, things like that, whatever. I've had it happen where I've been down internet, a couple days before, and hell, I need it for my job. So I'm really curious how this is all going to pan out. I'm kind of excited. I'm definitely excited enough that I want to check it out. I want to see what it's all about. It's kind of nice to see them stepping back into the limelight with a new version. But I think that there's still going to be a lot missing. I really do. And I'll give Microsoft this in Asobo. They broke the mold. They broke the mold with the satellite photogrammetry. They broke the mold with the new graphics engines. When it started, it was very much, I think, game status, dare I say it. I would say Microsoft Flight Simulator has definitely matured enough over the last couple of years to be considered a simulator now. You still have your game aircraft, and you still, hiccups. You still have plenty of aircraft and modules that are very game related. But some of the higher fidelity things are starting to come into play. We're starting to get more complex aircraft. We're starting to get more things that are really going to be driving things home. So I'm kind of wondering, what's the future look like for P3D and X-Plane? I bought X-Plane 12 too. I have it, and I actually tried it a couple weeks ago before the Flight Sim Expo, and Microsoft Flight Simulator has me, man. And even with all of its headaches and all of the times that I have been wanting to Microsoft Flight Simulator, when it works, it works. And when it works, it's great and it's fun. And I mean, you look at the graphics and stuff here, they can't compete. And I'm a graphics snob. So that's going to be the other kicker, is it's going to depend on what you're going for. But even when it comes to like flight models and things like that, typically, for like, especially for general aviation, usually X-Plane wins that one. Usually, depending on the aircraft, of course. But usually X-Plane will win when it comes to flight models and authenticity. to the behavior of the aircraft. Now, P3D used to be right behind it. Don't get me wrong. So it really depends. But like I said, all of this stuff here, the military stuff, it's got me pretty concerned as far as which direction they're trying to lean to. But I could be wrong. They could have just, I mean, we're talking about Lockheed here, right? Lockheed makes P3D. So for all we know, it's the most stellar thing on the freaking planet, and they dumped millions into it, and you know, it's going to be the greatest sim ever. And I am, like I said, I'm going to find that out. But let me know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think down below. Please comment, start a discussion here. I'll try to jump in here when I can. But this is coming in July, so we're only, I mean, today's the last day of the month of June, so you know, it's inbound. So let me know what you guys think if you're going to be picking it up, even just to try it. I really am hoping that the academic license automatically rolls into a personal license, because that would suck if we have to buy it again. It's kind of crappy. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy, and I will see you in the next one.